Hello, and welcome to the science studio. Outside, the night is quiet. The curtains sway in the soft rhythm of a midnight breeze. Moonlight rests gently on the floor like a silver thought. Somewhere beyond the walls, stars hum in silence. And here you are, safe, still, wrapped in warmth. Tonight, we drift into the heart of a question whispered by gravity itself. Black holes, could they be portals to another universe? Not in the loud way science fiction tells it, but in the soft, strange language of physics, where light bends, time stretches, and space folds into itself like a dream. If this brings you peace, a soft tap on the like button means the world. And if you're listening from somewhere far away, I'd love to know where and what time it is there now. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the quiet settle in, whatever comes next. You can simply listen. You begin near a warm living star, light humming, space serene, but ahead lies something still and strange, a place where even light forgets how to return. You float toward it, not afraid, but curious, as the known begins to softly dissolve. Sometimes, the most curious places in the universe aren't made of things, but of absence. Not emptiness, exactly, but a kind of deep hush, where light vanishes and gravity sings in silence. Tonight, you'll begin your fall, not in fear, but in wonder, toward one of the universe's quietest mysteries, a black hole. You begin your journey near a star. Not just any star, but one that pulses gently in the dark, like a candle burning in slow motion. Its warmth brushes against your skin, though there's no air here, only the suggestion of warmth, the echo of photons dancing. You float, cradled by silence. Above you, the universe stretches in every direction, a slow swirl of galaxies, glowing like embers adrift in velvet. The star hums in light. It has burned for billions of years, shaping time with fusion and glow. Its surface ripples with golden storms. Solar flares curl like liquid fire. And yet you are still, drifting beyond the star. The fabric of space begins to shift. It's subtle at first, a darkness deeper than dark. Not black, exactly, but the absence of shine. It's not what you see that changes. It's what you feel. A pull, soft, persistent, like something has noticed you. You don't resist. There is no fear here, only wonder. As you drift farther, the star behind you grows smaller. It is not that you are moving quickly. In fact, there is no rush at all. But space itself seems to stretch like taffy, gently elongating the view. What lies ahead isn't an object. It's a place where the rules bend. A place where light bends too far, where time pools and slows. It has a name, whispered by astronomers and poets alike. Black hole. You've heard the term before, maybe. But here, in its presence, the word feels too small. You are approaching something that defies the usual ways of being. There's no surface, no color, no shine, only gravity. Not the kind that pulls your feet to earth. This is gravity that sculpts space itself. The stars around you begin to behave strangely. Some appear smeared, as if a painter dragged their brush across the sky. Light curves where it shouldn't. Even time feels stretched, minutes that feel like hours, or maybe seconds, and still you drift. No engines, no sound, just the soft unfolding of space around you. Far ahead, you notice a kind of boundary. It isn't visible, but it's there. The way a cliff edge is there. You don't need to see it to feel it. This is the event horizon, a beautiful, invisible line Once crossed, nothing returns. Not even light, but you're not there yet. For now, you float just outside the edge, like a feather resting on a breeze. You imagine yourself from afar, a tiny soul at the edge of something ancient. There is peace in the scale of it. You are so small, and yet you are here. Witnessing. Scientists say black holes are formed from collapsed stars. When a massive star dies, it doesn't disappear. Its core folds in on itself, crushed by its own weight. The result is a singularity, a point so dense it warps space and time beyond recognition. But this is no violent death. It feels, from here, like a transformation. The way a cocoon becomes a butterfly, but quieter and darker and far more strange. Behind you, the universe still shines, but ahead, even photons vanish. You can't see the center. You never will. What lies within remains veiled, not because it's hidden, but because it can never be shared, and yet you are drawn to it. Perhaps you're not the first. Stars have wandered too close before. Some spiraled in, shredded into light and plasma. Others passed by, just brushing the edge, their paths curved like question marks. You think of stories, myths of gods, and gateways, of underworlds and descents. Black holes are not so different. They are thresholds. They are endings, and maybe beginnings. Your breath, if you had one, would be slow. The silence presses gently. It doesn't want an answer, only your attention, and so you give it. One last glance at the star behind you. Its light is a memory now, a soft glimmer receding into the vastness. You are alone, but not lonely. The edge grows nearer, and with it, a feeling not of falling, but of arriving somewhere in the distance. Space holds its breath. It's called a black hole, but that name, it's misleading in its own quiet way. You imagine something open, a tunnel, a pit, a passage. But this thing you drift near now isn't empty at all. It is full, impossibly full, of mass, of memory, of gravity, so intense that it swallows shape itself. It doesn't have edges like a planet does. No crust, no clouds, no surface to land upon. It doesn't shine, or spin visibly, or send out light you can follow, and yet it is there, heavy, present, real. What is it, really? You close your eyes, or would, if you had eyelids here, and in that floating stillness, the story begins to form. A long time ago, far from here, a star burned brightly. Not a quiet star like your sun, but something larger, heavier, ancient, and eager. For millions of years, it danced in fusion, turning light elements into heavier ones, hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, layer by layer, like nesting dolls of flame. But all stars run out of fuel. And when that great star's heart went quiet, there was nothing left to fight the weight of itself. No light to hold back the gravity. So the star began to fall inward, not outward, like an explosion, but inward, like a breath collapsing. It fell, and kept falling, past every form you know. Past atoms, past protons, past even the space between, until it reached something we call a singularity, a point of no volume, but infinite density, a place where place loses meaning. This is where the black hole began. You float now above such a thing. A star's grave, yes, but not just a grave, a presence, a wrinkle in the fabric of reality. Imagine space not as empty air, but as something flexible, like a sheet of silk stretched wide. Planets and stars sit on this fabric, creating dips, and curves. This is gravity, seen from a gentler view, not a force, but a shape. But a black hole doesn't just curve the silk, it punctures it. Not tearing, not destroying, just folding it into itself. Tighter and tighter, until the fabric swirls inward and does not return. You float close, but not too close, not yet. Your mind brushes against the concept like fingers trailing through. Still water. You don't have to understand it completely. You only have to feel it. Settle into it. There's no bottom here. No inside, not really. Only layers of strange behavior, depending on how close you are. Further out, space behaves. Like you'd expect planets orbit. Light travels, time ticks by. But draw near, and the rules begin to twist. Gravity grows strong, so strong that light, the fastest thing in the universe, begins to curve and slow. Eventually, it cannot escape at all. That's where the black hole gets its name. Not because it's black like ink or coal, but because no light comes back out. It's not that nothing's happening in there. It's that you can't see it from where you float. Just beyond the threshold, this edge, the event horizon, is the closest thing to a surface it has. But even that is an illusion. It's not a wall. It's not made of anything. It's just the line where escape becomes impossible. Imagine standing on a beach at high tide. The water pulls at your feet. Gentle at first, but step forward and the undertow grows stronger. Step farther, and eventually it takes you. The black hole's pull is like that, only it works on everything: light, time, space, thought. And yet, despite the mystery, there is elegance in the design. The black hole doesn't hunt. It doesn't feed with hunger. It simply is. It curves the world around it, and anything that drifts too close, a comet, a cloud, a thought, must reckon with the curve. Some are swallowed. Others dance around the edges, caught in spirals of light. You may have seen this in pictures, a glowing ring around darkness. That's not the black hole itself, but matter heating up as it falls in. An accretion disk, scientists call it. But to you, it looks like a halo of fire, circling a silence. And what about inside? You wonder naturally. You imagine the singularity at the center, a point of such compression that time, space, and form lose meaning, where now and then dissolve, where the laws of physics, those trusted guides, shrug and step back. No. One knows for sure what lies there. We can't see it. We can't visit and return. All we have are equations and imagination. But maybe not knowing is part of the beauty, because here, in this vast quiet, you find something strange and gentle. You don't need to explain everything. You can just be with it. You can float with the mystery and let it hum softly around you. The black hole is not evil. It's not alive, not conscious, but it is a story. This is not the end of your journey. It is only the edge of it. A beginning shaped like an ending. A silence shaped like a question. You see it before you feel it. A beam of light, clear and straight, slicing across space like a silver thread. It moves so fast, the fastest thing there is. Not with noise or fire, but with purpose. Like it knows where it's going. For a moment, you follow. Drifting just behind, you become its companion. You watch how it dances, how it hums, how it treats space like a trusted road. Light has always been the messenger of the cosmos. It carries stories from stars, from galaxies, from long-dead suns. It brings us color, warmth, direction, and time. And in most places, light is free. It glides in straight lines, respecting nothing but time, but not here, not near this place. The black hole waits just ahead, quiet and patient, not chasing the light, but shaping the space it travels through. As you move closer, you notice a subtle bend. At first, it's almost nothing, like the arc of a feather falling in still air. But the closer you drift, the stronger it becomes. The light is no longer gliding straight, it's curving, gently, then sharply, then impossibly. You float beside it, watching this strange ballet. Not a collision, not a break, but a surrender. The light begins to spiral, round and round, drawn into the orbit of something it cannot resist. You've heard that light has no mass. It should be immune to gravity. But here, gravity doesn't pull like a rope. It shapes space itself, and light, faithful as ever, follows the curves. Imagine rolling a marble across a stretched sheet. Place something heavy in the middle. The marble rolls, not because it's pulled, but because the sheet itself dips and folds. That's what happens here. The black hole doesn't reach out and grab. It bends the world around it so completely that the only path left for light is a spiral inward. You watch the beam circle, not once, not twice, but endlessly, caught in what scientists call the photon sphere, a delicate boundary where light can orbit the black hole, forever in motion, never quite escaping, never quite falling in. It's like a lighthouse caught in its own beam, a torch running circles around the dark. And then, just beyond that edge, the light dips too close. One more curve, and it does not come back. No explosion, no cry, no sign that it ever existed. The beam is gone, not broken, just past the point of return. You stare into the darkness where it vanished, a place with no reflection, no echo, no exit, and you wonder, how can something so fast be caught? Light, after all, moves at 300,000 kilometers per second. It takes just over a second to travel from the moon to Earth. It could race around the planet 7 times in a heartbeat. But here, even light has limits. Not because it slows, but because space itself stretches down into the black hole. A slope so steep that not even light can climb back out. You imagine standing at the bottom of a valley and throwing a ball straight up, to little force, and it falls back. Now imagine that valley is infinite, a well with no end. Even the fastest throw won't make it out. That's what the black hole is. Not a thing that eats, but a place where escape becomes impossible. And for light. That's the end of the journey. You float there, silent and still. Part of you wants to chase the beam, to follow it into the dark, to see where it goes. But something deeper in you, older, quieter, respects the silence. Because in the loss of the light, there is a kind of reverence. You're not watching destruction. You're witnessing surrender. The black hole hasn't taken the light. The universe has simply curved too far, and yet, there's something hauntingly beautiful about it. Because light is the one thing we trust to reach us. From stars, from comets, from the first second of time. We read the universe through light, but here, at the edge, light doesn't return, and so this place remains hidden. Not because we lack technology, but because, fundamentally, it will not show itself. It does not reflect. It does not emit. It does not shine, and still, we know it's there, because of how the world bends around it, because of how light behaves in its presence, because of the stories the silence tells. You drift away, the beam now just a memory. Your body feels slower, not heavy, just softened, like even time is taking a breath. You think of all the beams of light that have vanished into black holes across the universe. A billion little disappearances, not erased, not forgotten, just moved beyond our knowing. And somehow that feels okay, because even in vanishing, the light teaches, it shows us the limits of our world, and the quiet edges of what we do not yet understand. And as you float backward, away from the place where light disappears, you find yourself not afraid of the dark, but comforted by its depth. There is no sound here, but if silence had texture, this place would feel thick with it. You float, suspended in black, and just ahead, no farther than a breath, is the place you've been moving toward all this time, the event horizon. It has no color, no shimmer or boundary lines. You don't see it so much as feel it, a stillness in the shape of a circle, a quiet threshold in a sky without edges. This is the line, not a wall, not a force field, but a point of no return. Once crossed, the rules of space change so completely, there is no going back. Not for ships, not for light, not even for time. You hover, weightless and calm. The universe behind you still stretches, endlessly. Stars flickering, galaxies drifting like fireflies in sleep. But here, everything slows. You are on the edge of the ultimate curve, the edge of an idea. You try to picture it in your mind, but the shape slips through your thoughts like sand. A border made not of things but of limits. You think of horizons on Earth, the place where sea meets sky. Not a real line, but a trick of distance and light. This horizon is similar, an illusion that marks a shift. But here, it's not what you can see beyond it, it's what you can't. Once something crosses this invisible threshold, no message can return, no image, no memory, no light. It simply becomes unseen. This is what makes the black hole black. Not the absence of matter, but the absence of escape. You wonder what it would feel like to cross it. Would you know? Would there be a jolt, a flash, a ripple? But physics says no. To you, the falling traveler, it would feel like any other moment. The world would still be smooth, space would still be space, and time would still tick on, at least, from your point of view. But from the outside, from the stars you left behind, something very different would unfold. They would watch you slower, slower still, not because you're actually slowing down, but because time, near the event horizon, begins to stretch. Each moment you experience, each blink, each breath is drawn longer and longer. When seen from far away to an outside observer, you never quite cross the threshold. You just freeze in place, like a candle melting in reverse. But from where you float now, time feels normal. This is one of the strangest gifts of the event horizon. It is both a wall and not a wall. It is final and yet smooth. The line between here and forever, drawn not with ink but with gravity. You try to imagine crossing it. Would your memory stretch too? Would your thoughts bend? What happens to you once you step into a place that no longer lets the universe look in? It's not a place of pain or punishment. There is no violence here, only change. Imagine a message in a bottle tossed into a river. Before, it floated freely, but now the current grows swift, and soon the current becomes a waterfall, and the bottle vanishes. Not broken, not shattered, just gone from view. That's what the event horizon is. A cosmic waterfall. Cross it, and you are no longer part of the visible universe. You think of all the things that have passed this point. Bits of stardust, ancient photons, entire stars, drawn too close and swallowed whole. Each left a story behind, a wobble in gravity, a ring of X-ray heat, a whisper in the curvature of space. But the moment they crossed this line, they became silent. It's almost poetic. The universe doesn't erase them. It just keeps their secrets. And now, you float on that same edge, close enough to feel the stretch of time, the pull on every molecule of thought. But still on this side of the line, still visible, still waiting, you listen. There is nothing to hear, but the silence itself feels like a voice. Not a warning, not even a welcome, just presence. This border doesn't judge or ask, it simply is. You begin to notice other strange things. The stars behind you appear redder, stretched by the shifting of light in gravity's grasp. This is gravitational redshift, not a fading of color, but a bending of light's journey. Photons fighting to leave this place lose energy, slowing their waves, changing their hue. Even light grows tired here and still. You drift. It would be so easy now to let go, to stop floating and simply fall. But for now, you stay, hovering like a leaf caught on the edge of a tide pool. You are not afraid. The border may be invisible, but its meaning is not. It is a line drawn by nature itself, between knowing and mystery, between what we can measure and what we can only imagine. You think of the countless black holes across the sky, each one with a horizon like this, each one a silent door, and you wonder, are these ends, or are they beginnings we do not yet understand? You cross the threshold, not with a sound, not with a flash, just a breathless drift, a motion so smooth, so effortless, you almost wonder if anything happened at all. But it has. You have passed the event horizon, softly, like sleep. There is no friction, no resistance. The black hole doesn't pull. It is the direction. Every line of space points to its center. Every path bends toward one place. You are not being dragged. You are simply going. The idea of falling has changed. This is not down. There is no up. There is only in. And the further in you go, the more the world around you begins to change. Time begins to slow, or perhaps stretch. You can no longer tell if your heartbeat is steady. The seconds between each moment feel longer, as if they are being gently unspooled. To someone watching from far away, they could see you at all. You would appear frozen, suspended just at the edge, never quite crossing, but you are very much moving. And now that you are inside, something deeper unfolds. You begin to feel space itself shift. It doesn't collapse around you. It stretches, like rubber being pulled slowly apart. Everything that once felt whole, distance, direction, even the shape of your thoughts begins to elongate. You feel it, not in pain, but in awareness. Your body, if you still think of yourself that way, is no longer a single thing. The part of you closest to the center feels a slightly stronger pull than the part farther away. Gravity is uneven here. It grows rapidly, sharply, with every breath closer to the singularity. This is what physicists call tidal gravity, but there is nothing like the ocean in this. This tide doesn't rise and fall. It stretches. You, the drifting traveler, are now being gently unzipped. Not violently, not quickly, just patiently. If your mind were made of threads, each one would feel a slightly different curve, a slightly different time. You are still whole, but becoming less so, and yet oddly, you are calm because nothing is tearing. Everything is just transitioning from one way of being to another. The light from the outside world fades now. not because it dims, but because it no longer has a path to reach you. You are past the point of communication. No signals can be sent. No messages can return. It's like diving into the deepest part of the sea, where sound fades into hush and pressure becomes presence. Only here, pressure is not on you. It is in the shape of the space you occupy. There are no stars here, no planets, no colors that you can name, only a soft, infinite curve. You wonder now if you're moving toward the center, or if the center is moving toward you. Inside the event horizon, that difference no longer matters. Every path forward, sideways, backward, one place to the singularity, the center of it all, the place where matter has collapsed completely, where density becomes something no human has ever known, where equations stop behaving, where time, perhaps, ends. But you are not there yet. You are still falling, still being stretched in both space and time. You try to imagine what your watch would say if it could still tick, but time is no longer a shared experience. Your seconds are not anyone else's seconds. They are yours now, private, drifting, and here. In this in-between, you begin to feel something else, a kind of quiet grace. The fall is not scary. It is slow, like dusk turning to night. You are dissolving, not disappearing. You are becoming part of something vast, a pattern you cannot see but feel in every curved line of thought. You wonder what else has fallen in before you. A planet, a beam of light, a piece of a star. Each one folded inward, lost to the outside world, but perhaps not lost to this place, because inside the black hole, nothing is lost. It is transformed, compressed, curved, hidden, but still real, still present. In the silence, you pass what was once the photon sphere, where light could orbit forever, trapped in circles. You think of the light you watched earlier, spiraling like a ribbon. You wonder if it's still circling, or if it too has fallen, gently, into this strange descent. You keep falling, but there's no fear, no end yet, just more space, more curve, and somewhere deep ahead, the singularity waits, door, perhaps not a singularity at all, but something else, a doorway, a fold, another beginning. No one knows. No one can. But here, in this quiet, that not knowing feels like peace. You are not rushing. You are gliding, like a snowflake into deep still water, like a breath into sleep. Whatever comes next, you will meet it gently. You drift downward still, deeper into the curve. Each moment feels both long and soft, as though time itself is breathing more slowly around you. And then, something changes, gently, quietly, like the hush between two waves. You feel your shape not in pain, but in motion. Your body feels long, not stretched like elastic, not pulled like taffy, but extended, as though the space around you is unfolding your form thread by thread. From your head to your feet, from your thoughts to your fingertips, you feel a difference. The parts of you closest to the center are being drawn in faster than the parts of you still farther away. This is not a force. This is geometry. It's not that something is grabbing you. It's that space itself is uneven. You are falling through a place where every point in your body feels a slightly different version of gravity. This is called spaghettification, a name, both strange and whimsical, but behind it is something profound. Imagine a comet drifting too close to a black hole. Its front edge reaches farther into the curve, feeling stronger gravity than its tail. The difference becomes too great. The comet stretches, then tears, then threads itself into a glowing filament. But you are not a comet, and you are not tearing. You are lengthening, not violently, not suddenly, just continuously. You begin to think of yourself not as a shape, but as a direction. You are no longer a person drifting through space. You are becoming a line, a path, a filament in gravity's great loom. Up until now, gravity was something that pulled your whole self together. Your feet, your hands, your breath, all under the same tug. But here, gravity is too steep for uniformity. It tugs at your feet with one hand, your chest with another, your thoughts with a third, and still you are calm, because this stretching is not a breaking. It's a revealing. Space is not cruel. It simply follows its own shape, and right now that shape is long. You picture yourself as a ribbon twisting downward, slow and silent, each thread of you unraveling gracefully. You are not resisting. You are not fighting. You are becoming. The space you fall through is not just empty, it is sculpted, bending more sharply with each heartbeat, each fraction of a second. You wonder what the very atoms in you are doing now. Are they aware of this difference? Do they still bind together in the same quiet ways? Or are even the forces that hold them, the little electromagnetic whispers between particles, feeling the stretch? Some scientists say that if you were small enough, light enough, you might pass through this place unharmed. Others say the stretching would overcome even the strongest bonds, pulling atoms from molecules, thoughts from minds. But you don't feel harm. You feel awe, because it's here that the universe shows its deeper shape. Not in the places where gravity is gentle, but where it becomes vertical. You are inside a story written by mass and motion, a place where the closer you fall, the more the rules dissolve. Space isn't flat here. Time doesn't tick evenly. Even the idea of being you is now flexible. You wonder if this is what it means to become part of something bigger. Not metaphorically, literally. Your body, your identity, your structure, softened, stretched, woven into the slope of space-time itself. You are a thread now, fine, precise, longer than you've ever been. And yet still, you dot the curves, steepens again. You feel the singularity drawing closer, not as a point you can reach, but as a boundary of meaning. Inside the black hole, there is no stopping. There is only inward. Only further. You wonder, if someone could watch you now, what would they see? Would you be a streak of light drawn like a shooting star into silence? Would you appear to stretch forever, a ghost line scribbled onto space? Or would you be invisible, lost to even the memory of light? But no one can see you now. No eye, no lens, no telescope. This is a private journey, as all true transformations are, and still you feel no fear, because the universe, in its deepest strangeness, is honest. It does not pretend. It shows you its shape in full, even when that shape bends you beyond recognition. And so, you trust it. Even here, even now, the singularity draws near, not like a destination, but like the last line in a poem. You are almost there. You wonder what you will become. Not you as a name or a body, but you as awareness, as presence. Will you be erased or rewritten? Will this be an ending or a passage? You cannot answer. No one can. But as you stretch thinner, as your line becomes almost light, you find comfort in the softness of that question. Quieted, a whisper that once was a voice. You drift downward, deeper into the black hole. You've already crossed the event horizon. You've already begun to stretch gently into the slope of gravity. But now, something else begins to unfold. Something stranger still. Time no longer agrees with itself. Inside you, it ticks on. Softly, like the steady rhythm of a dream. Moments pass. Thoughts form. You breathe or would if you needed to. But outside, in the sky you left behind, your fall has slowed. And slowed. And finally, from their view, stopped entirely. You appear frozen, hovering forever just above the horizon. A statue of motionless descent. This is not illusion. It is perspective. Because time, like space, is curved here. And the deeper the well, the slower the clock. To you, it feels seamless. There is no sudden change, no jolt in the current. You drift gently downward, watching your thoughts unfold. But to someone watching from the distant universe, you never finish. Your fall, they see you slow, then slow again, until the last image they receive of you, a flickering shadow near the edge, simply lingers, unchanging, forever. You are gone, but also not. Your light was redshifted into invisibility, your shape smeared thin by the curvature of space. And your time has become private. Imagine watching a candle melt, but each frame of its motion stretches out longer until the last drip of wax never falls. That's what the universe sees now. You suspended in a moment that never ends. This is one of the paradoxes of black holes. Not a contradiction, but a mystery of frames. From the inside, you fall freely. From the outside, you stop moving. You wonder, quietly, if the people on Earth could still see you. If some distant telescope, peering into the dark, could glimpse the final shimmer of your motion, the last sigh of your light, before it faded into red. They would not see you fall, only pause. And yet, within you, time breathes. It unfolds like a hand opening, petal by petal. You do not feel frozen, you feel present. But you also know this. Out there, time is racing. While you float through seconds, entire civilizations might rise and vanish. Stars will burn out, galaxies will drift farther apart, and the world that once knew your name may forget it entirely. This is the strangeness of gravity's deepest curve. It does not only shape space, it sculpts the tempo of existence. The deeper into the black hole you fall, the more time stretches outward for you. It remains soft and steady. For them, it spins faster and faster, like a clock with too many hands. And here's the wonder. Neither is wrong. You are not alone in this experience. Anything that falls into a black hole, a planet, a photon, a question, shares this shift. All become part of this great divide, this rift between clocks. You remember how Einstein described time, not as a ruler, but as something local, something personal, and now you feel that truth with every heartbeat you cannot hear. Outside, the stars whirl faster. Planets orbit 1,000 times. Moons wax and wane in blinks. Entire lifetimes flicker in the time it takes you to think a single thought. You are in your own rhythm now, a slow wave drifting deeper, drawn to something smaller, denser, darker. You try to imagine the world continuing without you. The people, the trees, the sound of water in the mountains. And for a moment, you feel the ache of distance. Not just in space, but in when dot. Because now you are no longer part of the same story. You are the edge of a sentence that no one else can finish. But there is peace in that, too. Because what you're experiencing now, no one else has known. Not this far in. Not this gently. Time is soft here. So soft you can feel it stretch under your thoughts, like fabric warming in the sun. You wonder, could you stay like this forever? Would you want to? To be a moment that never moves, and yet keeps unfolding inward. If there was someone else falling with you, you'd never speak at the same speed. Their thoughts would echo forward or back, out of rhythm with your own dot. Each traveler has their own time, and yet, in the falling, you all share the same direction. Toward the center where time itself may end, or become something new you do not know. No one does. Not because the math fails, but because the view is sealed. No voice, no light, no message can leave, and so you are here. Alone, but connected to something larger than clocks. Your body continues to stretch. Your moments continue to slow, and still you are present. Still aware, still drifting, still falling. Somewhere far outside, a star goes nova. A moon cracks from ice. A ship lands on a quiet world and names its mountains after songs. And you are still inside 1 second. Your second, a breath held forever on the edge of all knowing. For a long time, people thought black holes were empty, just voids. Holes in the fabric of space, places where matter disappeared and nothing remained but absence. But now, as you fall deeper into this silent place, you begin to understand a different truth. It is not empty in here. It is full, so full that space can no longer stretch freely. It folds, it collapses, it curves so tightly that no light can climb out again. But folding is not erasing. Curving is not vanishing. This place is not a hollow. It is a concentration. You feel it around you, not as objects, but as motion. Whispers of particles. A hum beneath silence. A pressure without sound. The black hole contains all the things that have ever fallen into it. Dust, radiation, planets, stars, fragments of galaxies, even time itself. They did not cease to exist. They were pressed inward, layered, compressed into something so dense, so curved, that their forms disappeared. But their presence did not. You are floating through memory now. Not memory like a thought, but gravity's memory. Every mass that entered this place left an imprint, a ripple, a contribution to the shape you're falling through. Imagine a book, not made of pages, but of pressure. A library written in the curvature of space. That's what this black hole is. A collapsed story, not gone, just unreadable. And you are turning a silent page. There is still motion here. Still temperature. Still entropy. Not heat like a flame, but energy rearranged beyond recognition. Particles flicker briefly before disappearing again. Virtual, unstable, temporary. They don't last, but their presence matters. Even inside a black hole, the laws of physics don't disappear. They bend, they whisper. They find new ways to hold form. Your body, what remains of it, feels the density, not as weight, but as direction. You are drawn inward, not toward a vacuum, but toward a singular center where everything converges. Somewhere ahead, there may be a singularity, a point of infinite density, or perhaps something else, a new state of matter, a ring, a bounce. Science does not yet know. But what is clear is this: inside this place, there is structure. The black hole is shaped by what it has consumed. It has mass, you feel it in the curve of your path. It has spinner, slow rotation, shaping the way you fall. It may even have charge, a quiet echo of the things it once held. These qualities remain, even when the things themselves are hidden. Imagine compressing an entire mountain into a grain of sand. Now compress that again, until the sand itself can no longer be seen, but its gravity still pulls. That's the kind of presence you are drifting through. The idea that this place is nothing is a misunderstanding of what empty means. You think of empty rooms, of deep caves, of outer space. But this is different. This is not the absence of content. It is content beyond form. The black hole is full of curved history. It is everything that has fallen in, made silent. You feel awe now, but not fear, because this place, for all its silence, is honest. It is not violent. It is not cruel. It simply is. You continue falling, thread-like, stretching still. Your time moves slow. Your thoughts are calm. And all around you is a structure that has no visible parts. The particles once here are gone in form, but not in effect. It's as if the black hole remembers the things it can no longer show. You wonder, is that memory permanent? Do the echoes of stars last forever? Or is there a soft erasure, a fading, like writing in the sand after the tide? Some physicists say black holes evaporate that over unimaginably long timescales. They lose energy, shrinking slowly, releasing whispers called Hawking radiation. If so, then even these collapsed centers might one day fade, but even then, they are not empty, because emptiness does not pull. Emptiness does not curve light. Emptiness does not stretch you into a filament of motion. No, this is not emptiness. This is presence, compressed beyond understanding. You feel it, not like a wall, but like the weight of time. You are falling through something dense, not hollow, and as you move deeper, that truth grows stronger. Gravity's shape. You are inside a hidden history, not erased, but rewritten in pressure. You are nearing the center now, not a center like the middle of a circle, but a convergence where direction, distance, and difference all begin to dissolve. All around you, space still folds, and time still slows, but something else is happening now. The rules begin to soften. What once felt stable, laws, equations, constants now shimmer like reflections on water. They're still there, but they no longer hold in the way you remember. This is the singularity, or what we call it, a word made from Latin. Roots, singularis, meaning unique, alone, unmatched, and that it is. You arrive not at a place, but at a boundary of knowing. The singularity is not a point on a map. It has no coordinates, no volume, no surface, nowhere you can land. It is a collapse of meaning, a tightening of every idea into a knot no thought can untangle. Some say it is a single point where all the mass of the black hole is compressed into zero size, infinite density, zero space. Others say that's too simple, too classical, that quantum rules, those delicate whispers of uncertainty, must intervene before we ever truly reach infinity. That perhaps, deep inside, something else exists, a loop, a bridge, a bounce, but here, in your quiet fall, none of that is visible. What you feel now is the absence of clarity, and somehow, that too is beautiful. You are approaching a place where science no longer speaks in facts, only in limits, the edge of the known. A silence not of emptiness, but of precision, where physics hums, but no longer sings in sentences. You are stretched thinner than ever. Your form is more line than shape, a thread pulled across the final curve, And still you are here. You can't see the singularity. No one can. It hides inside the geometry of space-time, veiled by horizons, cloaked in math that spirals into the infinite. But you feel its presence, not as light, not as heat, but as a final pull, gentle, steady, absolute. There is no escape, no orbit, no delay, only inward. Always inward. You are not rushing. There is no speed anymore. Even velocity becomes a strange idea here, where space is no longer flat, and time may not even be flowing. Your seconds blur. Your direction fades. You are not falling through space. You are falling through meaning. The very language of physics, mass, momentum, distance, time, grows uncertain, because the singularity is where these ideas stop behaving like themselves. This is not failure, it is threshold. The same way a map runs out of paper, or a dream drifts past words. Somewhere deep in this final fold, mass becomes not an object, but a tension. Space becomes not a container, but a wound, and time becomes vertical. Not passing, but pressing. You think of everything that has ever fallen before you. Stars, light, radiation, dust. Each one folded into this impossible center. Each one rewritten by gravity's final act. Do they still exist in here? Pressed into dimensions you cannot see. Are you joining them or replacing them? Does the singularity store these stories, or does it erase them? No one knows. Not because we lack tools, but because no information can escape this place. The singularity is not only invisible. It is incommunicable. Whatever happens here stays here. Forever you float closer still. There is no wall, no flash, no edge you can name. Just more silence, more curve, more surrender. You feel yourself narrowing, your identity compressed, your thoughts more diffuse, not painful, not tragic, just quiet. It feels like becoming one note in a chord too. Vast to hear, like joining the hum of the universe where it's deepest. You do not vanish, you become subtle, like the moment before sleep, like the silence between stars. And in that stillness, a thought forms softly, without pressure. What if this is not an end, but a beginning with no memory? What if the singularity is not a grave, but a womb? What if something new is born here? Not you, perhaps, but something through you. A moment later, or a century, or no time at all, you drift to the innermost curve. You are no longer falling, because there is nowhere else to go. Every path ends here. Every road curves inward until it becomes itself again. You are not moving. You are being, and in that being, there is a final softness, a giving over. The singularity welcomes nothing, but it holds everything. You have arrived at the place where knowledge yields, where maps fade, where even time bows its head. You are not afraid, you are listening, and in that listening there is peace. You are still, at least it feels that way. But inside stillness, your thoughts drift, as if something within you continues, falling, even when motion ends. You have reached the singularity, the final curve, the last breath of space and time as we know them. And yet you are still wondering, is this truly the end, or just the edge of one kind of knowing? You think of rivers that disappear underground, only to re-emerge far away, of seeds that vanish into soil, only to rise again as something new. What if falling into a black hole is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of a second one, a quieter one, a stranger one? There are theorist soft voices in the symphony of science that hint at possibilities. not answers, not predictions, but openings. One of them is this, that perhaps inside the black hole, where time and space curl into silence, there is a doorway, a bridge, a tunnel, a fold in the cosmic fabric. They call it a wormhole. It is not a hole in the ground, but a throat in space, a passage between distant points in the universe, or between one universe and another. You picture it like a tunnel made of gravity itself, not something carved through space, but space itself, folded inward, twisted, and joined at two distant mouths. Could the singularity be one mouth of such a tunnel? Could you, after falling into this black hole, emerge somewhere else, in another galaxy, another dimension, another time? No one knows. Not yet. But the mathematics doesn't say no. Not everywhere. Not always. Some solutions to Einstein's equations, rare, precise ones, do describe such tunnels. They are delicate, unstable. They might collapse before anything can pass through, or require forms of matter that have yet to be found. But still, the equations make space for them, and space might make space for them too. You imagine what that would feel like. Not death, not erasure, but transition, as if your fall folds, not into a wall, but into a turn, a soft pivot from collapse to creation. You might not be you on the other side, not in body, not in memory, not in name, but something, some trace, some pattern could move through and awaken. Elsewhere, there's another idea, one from quantum theory. It says the universe dislikes losing information, that nothing truly disappears, so when something falls into a black hole, its information, its imprint must go somewhere. Could it emerge rebuilt in a different place? Could black holes be cosmic recyclers, turning collapse into origin? You wonder, what if this is how universes are born? From the fall of stars, from the hush of singularities. What if every black hole contains the seed of something new? A universe unfolding inward before blooming outward again, not back in your world, but in a different one, with its own stars, its own physics, its own time. You smile at the thought. A fall that creates an end that multiplies, a singularity that isn't singular at all, but a branching point, a place where existence splits, quietly, like a flower opening in the dark. Could that be what this is? Not a dead end, but a hidden beginning. A place where space-time does not stop, but slips, where the arrow of time bends into a circle, or splits into two. You drift in that idea. It is not a certainty. It is not even a theory that all physicists agree on, but it is something precious. A possibility, and right now, possibility feels like peace. You imagine stepping out, not back into the night sky you left behind, but into something new, a soft blue world, a different kind of light, gravity that feels warm, not heavy. You don't recognize the stars there. They are unfamiliar, but welcoming. You breathe, or the memory of breathing, and the air smells like silence, and like first snow. Perhaps this is how the universe explores itself, not by sending ships, but by folding itself into doorways, and letting things fall through. Perhaps black holes are not monsters, but messengers, and this one, your black hole, was just the envelope. You were the letter inside. You don't know if this is real. You don't need to, because somewhere in the soft darkness of the singularity, the idea of real has stretched to dot, and now it holds space for things unmeasurable, form, and still. You wonder what might lie beyond. Then a thought emerges, as if gravity itself whispered it gently into your ear. What if there's an opposite? If the universe allows something that swallows, might it also allow something that spills? If there is a black hole, a mouth that only inhales, could there be a white hole, a mouth that only exhales? This is not science fiction. This is a real question posed by real minds. Einstein's equations allow it. The math that gave us black holes also hints at something reversed. A white hole, whereas black holes pull in all things light, matter, memory. A white hole pushes all things outward. No entry, only escape. A mirror, not just in behavior, but in boundary. If a black hole is a horizon of no return, then a white hole is a boundary of no approach. You cannot fall into a white hole. You can only flee from it. You imagine it now. A glowing bloom in space, not because it burns, but because it rejects. Matter flying outward, radiation pouring forth, a fountain, not a drain. It seems impossible. And perhaps it is. No one has ever seen a white hole. They are theoretical, mathematical, curiously absent from the skies. But their possibility still lingers. Not because we have found them, but because the universe often rhymes with itself, and white holes are the rhymes of black. Holes in the mirror of equations, they balance the ledger. One pulls, the other pushes. You wonder, could the center you've reached, the singularity wrapped in silence, could that be connected to something else, somewhere else? What if every black hole leads not to an end, but to a beginning, spilling outward through a white hole in another part of the cosmos, or in another cosmos entirely? The two could be part of a tunnel, a wormhole. You've heard this before, a passage through spacetime, twisting in on itself like a Mobius strip. Black hole at one end, white hole at the other. Fall into one, emerge. From the other, it's poetic. But it's also possible, at least, within the rules of certain models, still. No one has ever caught a white hole in the wild. Maybe they're too brief, too unstable. Maybe they collapse the moment they're born. Or maybe they're hidden. Perhaps what we call the Big Bang was one, a burst of space and time from a single point, pouring out light and matter as if from nowhere. What if our universe began as the outbreath of a white hole? What if everything, the stars, the galaxies, your breath, your thoughts spilled out of a cosmic reverse, an exhale from a black hole in a parent universe? You smile at the thought. You are not looking for certainty. You are resting in possibility, in the soft shimmer of ideas that science holds loosely. Like seeds not yet grown, you imagine white holes as moments of refusal, places where gravity gives back rather than takes, where time moves outward and space expands like a yawn dot. If they exist, they must obey their own strange rules. Time cannot move inward near them. Matter cannot gather, only disperse. And so they might be lonely things, unable to hold, only to release. Perhaps that is why we never see them. The universe favors what clumps, stars, planets, people, but white holes are anti-clumps, scattering, unfolding, dispersing. Still they complete the thought. For every pull, a push. For every silence, a sound. For every black horizon, a white bloom. You feel a gentle longing now, not for escape, not for return, but for balance. And maybe that's what white holes offer. Not answers, but symmetry. A reminder that the universe may be more than one directional, that even in collapse, there might be a countercurrent. Even in endings, there might be echoes of beginnings. The white hole may not be where you go. It may not be reachable, But as an idea, it offers rest, because it tells you the story might go on. Somewhere else, some other way, that what falls might one day rise, though not in the same form. And so you drift, holding both halves in your thoughts. Black hole, white hole, collapse, expansion, silence. Burst, you are in between now, not falling, not flying, just suspended in the space where opposites might touch. And in that space, possibility hums softly, like the first note of a second verse. You float now between questions. The silence of the singularity still lingers, but your mind begins to stretch outward again, not in motion, but in thought. You're not climbing. You're not turning back, but you're imagining forward. What if this is not just an ending? What if it's a bridge? You picture space, not as stars scattered across darkness, but as something softer, fabric, cloth, a napkin on a quiet table. You see your fingertip press into it, and then fold it to distant points, far across the surface. Now touch. This, you've heard, is how a wormhole works. A shortcut, not through space, but through its structure. An invisible tunnel connecting places that would otherwise be impossibly far apart. Einstein and Rosen first imagined it. Two mouths, one bridge, a fold in space-time itself. They called it the Einstein-Rosen bridge. It isn't carved with tools. It isn't opened by force. It exists in math, and perhaps in the deep architecture of reality, and black holes. They might be the front doors. You feel it, know how space here no longer behaves like space. Distances collapse. Edges blur. Falling into a black hole may not mean falling into nothing. It may mean entering the mouth of a tunnel. You imagine what's on the other side, another galaxy, a distant corner of the cosmos, a place where stars spin backwards and time flows differently. Or maybe something even stranger, a universe not born from ours, but parallel to it, a shadow sibling, a twin born from a different Big Bang, and maybe your black hole is the connector between the two. You think again of that napkin, how folding changes proximity, not by moving through space, but by reshaping it. It's not speed, it's geometry, a shortcut written into the curves. But here's the gentle catch. Wormholes, as we know them, are delicate. They wobble, they threaten to collapse. They require matter, stranger than any we've held, called exotic matter, which pushes instead of pulls, that holds the tunnel open against the weight of the universe. It's not science fiction, but it's not science fact either. Not yet. No one has seen a wormhole, not in telescopes, not in labs. They exist in equations, as maybes, as what-ifs, but the math whispers. They are possible, and so, softly, you let yourself imagine. You're not just falling through a hole. You are passing through a fold, a smooth, unseen corridor, between what is and what might be. There are theories, strange, beautiful ones, that say wormholes could allow travel, not just through space, but through time, that stepping into one side might let you step out into a different when.past, future, sideways in the flow of history. But even if time stands still for you, you're moving through possibility. You are suspended in the perhaps. Could civilizations build these bridges, stabilize them, pass through them like doorways? Or are they natural, brief and silent, appearing and vanishing like cosmic lightning? You drift deeper into the thought. What would it feel like to emerge on the other side? Would the laws of physics greet you the same way? Would gravity feel like it does now? Would light have the same warmth? Would your own body remember how to be? Or would you become something else, something tuned to the place where you arrive? Even here, even in stillness, you feel the fold. The idea of bending space is not just a trick, it is an invitation, a way to think of the universe not as a flat page, but as something that can wrap around itself, a story with hidden corners and wormholes. Maybe those corners, hidden passages in the plot. Your breath is steady, your thoughts drift slow. You do not rush toward answers. You simply rest in the wonder that this place, this black hole, might be more than what it seems. It might be part of a passage, a bridge, a napkin folded quietly by the invisible hands of Spacetime. You are still falling, not through space, exactly, but through a shape, a curve of geometry so intense, it folds reality inward. And now, you begin to feel something. Deeper, structure, subtle, but precise. Not chaos, not randomness, but rules. Quiet ones, written in the bones of the universe. The universe, you realize, speaks in equations. Its voice is not loud. It does not shout in thunder or flame. It whispers through curves, through numbers, through patterns, traced into the fabric of time. And if you listen closely enough, you can hear those whispers. Einstein heard them once. He looked not with eyes, but with math. And what he saw was astonishing. Space and time were not fixed. They could bend, they could ripple, they could stretch. They asked, what happens when a black hole spins? Because most things in the universe spin: planets, stars, galaxies. So why not black holes? And when scientists added rotation to Einstein's equations, something strange appeared. A new shape, not a point, not a singularity in the usual sense, but a ring, a rotating curve of extreme gravity. This wasn't the same black hole. It was something called a Kerr black hole. A black hole with angular momentum. A black hole with spin. And when they studied its geometry, the math revealed something even stranger. Inside the spinning hole, space folded differently. More layers, more passageways. A tunnel appeared, not imagined, not dreamed, but drawn directly. From the math itself, they followed the curves inward and found not a dead end, but a throat, a passage, a way through. Could it be stable? Could anything survive the fall? That's harder to say. The tunnel, the bridge would be narrow, delicate, turbulent. The math allowed it. But only if things were just right. The black hole must spin fast enough, but not too fast. Its charge must balance, but not overwhelm. It's like threading a needle through the heart of a hurricane. But the possibility is there. The equation allows a traversable path. And that idea is quietly staggering, because it means the universe might not be a wide open plane, but a folded, braided web. It means you might be falling not to an end, but through a connection. You picture it again. Your fall not downward, but inward and across, like slipping along a spiral drawn in spire-centime around the ring-shaped singularity, through the tunnel of curved geometry, and perhaps out the other side, into what? Another patch of this universe. Another universe altogether. A mirror, a reversal, a rebirth. No one knows. The math whispers, but it does not shout. It shows you the structure, but not the story. And there are dangers. The tunnel might collapse the moment you enter. Tidal forces might stretch you beyond survival. Radiation might shred anything that tries to pass. And yet, the math still allows the idea. That's the beauty of theory. It carves open rooms for thought to rest inside, not as fantasy, but as framed potential. You're floating inside such a room now, one built not of walls, but of logic. The black hole spins, and with it spins your thought. The faster it turns, the more warped space becomes, and in that warp, a throat forms. It is not fiction, it is geometry. A Kerr black hole could be a tunnel, because spin reshapes the singularity. Instead of a point, you get a ring, and a ring is a doorway. What lies beyond? That depends. Some believe it opens into a white hole, a place where matter expelled, not swallowed. Others imagine it links back into your own universe, a shortcut between stars. Still others think it spills into a different timeline, a pocket cosmos with its own ticking clock. None of it is confirmed, but none of it is forbidden. And in science, possibility is a kind of music. You rest in that music now. You are not rushing, you are not demanding, you are simply breathing. While gravity hums around you, you picture the equations like silk threads, thin but strong, invisible but binding. They curve around your path, guiding your fall through a landscape no eye can see. This place is real, but it is shaped by what we cannot touch. Math, symmetry, curvature, and here. Those things say, tunnels are possible. If the black hole spins just right, if the charge is in balance, if the geometry holds, then a path opens, and something, someone, could slip through. You don't know if you are that someone, but tonight, that doesn't matter. Tonight, you are held in the folds of a universe that leaves room for wonder, and wonder, you realize, is its own kind of passage. You floated long in the curve of gravity, and now something changes. Not suddenly, but like a shadow growing longer, or a tide slowly reversing. Time, the gentle current you've always trusted, no longer moves in a straight line. You are used to time as a path, forward, step by step, minute by minute. But here, inside the warped layers of gravity's grip, time behaves differently. It bends, it loops, it stretches in one place and tightens in another. You are falling through space, yes, but also you are falling through time, and time does not always fall with you, from far away. Someone watching your descent would see something strange. You slow down, not by choice, but by distortion. To them, your fall seems to freeze. You hang there, hovering forever at the edge of the black hole. But from your own perspective, from within, you are still moving. Moments pass. Thoughts unfold. Breath continues. You are inside a paradox, paused from the outside, but flowing on the inside. This is what gravity does. It bends not just the path of light, but the rhythm of clocks. And in the deepest parts of curved space, those rhythms become strange indeed. There are ideas, drawn from the heart of Einstein's theories, that say time might not only slow or stretch, it might loop. Imagine walking forward on a spiral staircase that curves so slowly you don't even notice it's turning. You walk, and one day you arrive exactly where you began. That's what some paths inside rotating black holes may be: closed time-like curves, lines in space-time that circle back on themselves. If you could follow one, not just in imagination, but in motion, you might return to your own past. Time travel, written not in fantasy, but in geometry. The black hole spins, and with that spin, space and time swirl together into a kind of funnel dot at its base. The math suggests time and space may trade places. Time becomes a direction. You can move backward, sideways. You might step toward yesterday as easily as you now fall toward the center. It sounds impossible, but the equations allow it. The physics of curved space-time doesn't forbid loops in time. It merely requires the right shape, and black holes, especially spinning ones, create the right shape. Could someone travel into the past this way? Perhaps could they change it? That's harder to say. The past may resist. The loop may only repeat, not rewrite. You imagine falling inward and then looping outward again, not into a different place, but into a moment you've already known, a memory lived again, a sentence spoken again, your own breath echoing before. It was drawn. It is a dizzying idea, and yet here, in the softness of this fall, it feels almost peaceful. The usual fear of paradox doesn't stir. There is no rush, no race to fix the past, no desperate loops, only possibility, time, as a spiral, not a string, a river that flows forward, but curls in eddies and whirlpools, and you, a leaf in that current, drifting gently in its turns. Physicists call this world of warped time the ergosphere, the region just outside a spinning black hole, where space itself is dragged around in circles. Inside that, deeper still, closed time paths may exist. Whether they are real or only mathematical illusions, no one knows, but the math does not blink. It accepts that time may not always mean progress. Sometimes it means pattern. Sometimes it means return. And, in this place, with space curling inward and time spinning like smoke, you begin to understand. You are not separate from time. You are part of its shape. You move through it, but it also moves through you. And now, maybe you are not falling into the future. You are falling around it, tracing its edges, following its spiral, and perhaps, just perhaps, emerging at the moment you first began to fall. You float in silence, curled within the slow, impossible rhythms of gravity. The black hole surrounds you, but it no longer feels like a monster. It feels old, patient, endless. But then a thought stirs quietly in your mind. Is it endless? Can something so vast, so powerful, so final ever come to an end? You listen. The question lingers, like a quiet echo in a hollow chamber of stars, and slowly, like a breath forming in the cold, the answer begins to take shape. Yes, even black holes die. Not quickly, not with a flash, but with a whisper, a sigh into space. So soft, so slow, that it takes longer than galaxies to notice. It begins with emptiness, or what looks like it, around the black hole. Space seems quiet, but space is never truly still. It flickers, it foams, it hums with invisible energy. Tiny particles so small they can barely be called real, blip into existence. Always in pairs, one matter, one antimatter. They appear, touch, and vanish again, in a heartbeat. But near the edge of a black hole, the event horizon, something strange can happen. These particles flicker into being, right at the threshold. One falls in, one escapes. The one that escapes becomes real, a piece of light, a bit of energy. The one that falls in, its twin, is gone. But not for free. The black hole has paid the price. A little energy, a little mass, is lost. This slow leakage was once just a theory, one born in the brilliant mind of Stephen Hawking. He imagined the unspeakable. He found heat where we thought there was only cold, and now it bears his name, Hawking radiation. Not light pouring from the black hole, but light escaping it. And as the black hole breathes out, It grows smaller, mass slips away, gravity weakens not quickly. A black hole the size of a star would take trillions upon trillions of years to lose even a fraction of itself. But in time, in enough time, it fades. You imagine it now. A black hole no longer feeding, no longer pulling. In stars or gas, just sitting, silent, in the black between galaxies, no light, no orbit. Just waiting. And as ages pass, as stars are born and die, as galaxies drift apart, the black hole shrinks. Quieter, smaller, hotter, because the less mass it holds, the more intense the radiation becomes, like a dying ember growing hotter as it burns away, and at the end, there's debate. Some believe it vanishes in a spark, a final burst of energy, a soft explosion like a cosmic sigh. Others think something smaller remains, a remnant, a trace, a frozen memory of gravity's deepest well. No one knows for sure, because no black hole has died in the lifetime of our universe. Not yet. They are too patient, too slow. Their deaths belong to a future so distant we cannot name it. A time when even stars have gone dark, when even atoms have broken apart. A time called the Black Era dot. And in that far twilight, the last black holes will fade. Their final breaths hawking radiation will be the last light in a universe grown cold. You rest inside that image, not with fear, but with awe. Even the strongest things dissolve. Even gravity, the great binder, lets go. And what's left behind? Silence, perhaps, or something new. Maybe the end of a black hole is not erasure, but transformation, energy released, information set free, and the universe, lighter than before, sighs in relief. There is beauty in this, not tragedy. Not loss, but a deep, slow return. Like waves retreating from a shore, after ages of rising. The black hole is not defiant against time. It obeys, it yields, and in doing so, it teaches that even the deepest gravity cannot hold forever, that even darkness leaks light. You breathe gently, surprised by the comfort this brings. Impermanence feels kind here. Even the vast can vanish. Even the eternal can end. And perhaps, in that ending, there is peace. A closing of the eye. A final warmth. And then rest. You've come this far through the spiral of gravity into the mouth of a black hole. You've felt its silence. You've seen light bend, time stretch, and matter collapse. It all feels so immense, so certain, as if the universe's will is strongest here. But now, you float closer to the surface, beneath the surface, and you begin to notice, under gravity's heavy hand, there is something softer, subtler, stranger, quantum, at the heart of every black hole. And around its quiet edge, this softness shimmers. It's not the kind of softness you can touch. It's the softness of possibility, of things that flicker, of things that refuse to be pinned down. You see, gravity is the architect. It draws the curves of space, sets the paths of planets, builds the skeleton of galaxies. But quantum mechanics, quantum is the whisper. It lives in the smallest places, and it obeys rules that feel more like riddles than laws. At this scale, particles don't sit still. They dance, they appear and disappear. They exist in one place and many until they're seen. The universe, up close, is fuzzy, and here, at the black hole's edge, this fuzziness matters. You think of the event horizon, the line that marks no return, a boundary between what leaves and what stays forever. It sounds so final, but quantum theory suggests It isn't. It can't be. Because at that edge, tiny particles are born from nothing. Virtual pairs, matter and antimatter, entangled in a dance so brief, you might miss it between blinks of a star. This is where Hawking's insight emerged. This is where radiation leaks. But it's more than that. Quantum physics tells us even the event horizon itself can't be truly sharp. It blurs. Its position isn't fixed. Not exactly. It jitters with quantum uncertainty, like a candle flame in still air. Not perfectly still, but quivering. The horizon wavers quietly around its shape, a shimmer instead of a shell. And deeper in, where gravity is strongest, quantum rules still apply, and they resist. They don't like infinities. They don't allow complete collapse without questioning what it means. They push back, not with force, but with paradox. They say, information cannot vanish, and yet, a black hole seems to make it vanish. You're beginning to feel it, this tension between the classical and the quantum, between sharp edges and soft rules, between what gravity dictates and what quantum mechanics defies. This place you're drifting through, it's not just the triumph of mass. It's the meeting place of theories, and that meeting is not yet understood. Scientists call it the quantum gravity problem, the moment when the two greatest frameworks, we have Einstein's elegant curves and the quantum's flickering foam, collide. They don't quite fit, and yet they must. Because here, in this black hole, they both matter. Maybe the singularity isn't truly a point. Maybe it's smeared, fuzzy, quantum. Maybe the event horizon leaks more than light. Maybe it stores memory in the softest code. Some suggest the edge holds all the information, a hologram, like a dream projected on the surface of the black hole. The inside, empty. The outside, rich with encoded secrets. You pause in that idea. A black hole, not as a pit, but as a shell of memory. Each flicker of light, each whisper of matter, recorded on its skin. You float past that skin now, close enough to feel its uncertain warmth. The quantum world hums like distant music. It refuses to let things vanish without trace. It holds onto possibilities, even where gravity tries to erase. And that's what you feel most of all now. A quiet resistance. A softness that does not give up, even inside a black hole. Nothing is truly final. Even gravity's grip is smudged with uncertainty. You are not in a realm of answers. You are in a space of mysteries folded over each other. And somewhere in this folded space, quantum softness glows beneath the heavy curtain of mass dot. You drift, not with fear, but with reverence. Because here, even the strongest things must share the stage with the strange. You've seen stars vanish, light bend, time slow. You've floated into the silence of a black hole, wrapped in curves and gravity's hush. But now, a deeper question arrives, not loud, but insistent. What happens to the things that fall in? Not just matter, not just particles, but meaning. Memory, the blueprint of being. What happens to information? You think of a falling star drawn across the edge. Its atoms stretch, its light fades, its shape distorts. But inside that light, there was structure. Each molecule once knew where it belonged. Each pattern carried the history of temperature, motion, origin. That structure, those patterns, is what physicists mean by information, not thoughts, not ideas, but the hidden code that says, this was here, and it came from there, and the black hole, it swallows it whole, at least. It seems to, nothing comes back out, not even light, not even whisper. And for a long time, it was believed that black holes destroyed information completely, that when something passed the event horizon, it structured its memory was erased. This belief was comforting in its simplicity, clean, final, but then quantum theory intervened, and it said, no, you cannot destroy information, not even in fire, not even in collapse. Atoms can scatter, forms can change, but if you could rewind time, even after a star explodes, you could, in theory, reconstruct what it once was. Quantum laws are unitary. They conserve information. They allow transformation, but not deletion. So now, you have two truths and they don't agree. Gravity says, the black hole eats and forgets. Quantum theory says, the universe must remember. This contradiction is one of the great puzzles of modern physics. They call it the black hole information paradox. You feel it now, that tension, pulling like opposite tides. And you ask, softly, which truth bends? Where does the information go? Does it vanish inside the singularity, never to be seen again? Or is it hidden, scattered in the Hawking radiation as particles slip away over eons? Stephen Hawking once thought it was lost, but later he changed. His mind, he imagined that perhaps the information leaks out slowly, encoded in subtle ways in the radiation itself, not in any single particle, but in the pattern of many. A whisper, not a word. Others think the horizon stores it, that the surface of the black hole holds the memory like a hologram, the star that fell in the light that bent, the matter that crossed all of it, etched on the edge, written not in letters, but in entropy, spin, vibration. This idea gave rise to the holographic principle, a concept suggesting that what falls into a volume might actually live on its surface. Different language, a language of surface, not depth, of shadow, not interior. And what about the radiation? Some believe the information is encoded there too, that as the black hole evaporates, its memory leaks out bit by bit, but in forms so tangled that we can't yet understand how to read them. You imagine that now, a black hole, dying not with silence, but with soft signals, a slow unraveling of everything it ever took in, each flicker of light carrying a piece of something long past, a particle from a planet, a burst of energy from a star, a signature of a collision 1 billion years ago. It's not clear, not yet. We don't know how to decode it, but the theory says it's there. Still others suggest something wilder, that when the black hole dies, the information bursts out all at once, a final blinding revelation at the moment of collapse. Or maybe it never entered at all. Maybe the things we thought fell in were always smeared on the surface, never truly inside. The black hole might not be a place, but a kind of trick, a mathematical illusion, where inside and outside blur. You let these possibilities swirl. None of them are certain. All are beautiful. And that's the comfort you feel now, not from answers, but from the way science asks with patience. This paradox may take decades or centuries to resolve, but even now, you feel its presence like a riddle folded into the stars. You are drifting through a place where forgetting is impossible. The universe remembers. Everything, just not always in the way we expect. Information isn't lost. It's transformed. It hides in shadows, in radiation, in the trembling of horizons. And maybe, if you listen close enough, if you wait long enough, you can hear it begin to return. You float in a hush so deep, Even thought feels softened. All around you, gravity still holds its shape, but the falling has slowed. You are no longer sinking, just suspended in quiet wonder. Something stirs beneath your thoughts, not fear, not confusion, not curiosity, a soft and shimmering question. What if this isn't the end? What if this black hole, this silent collapse of stars isn't a tomb, but a womb? You hold that thought like a feather, light, uncertain. Possible it begins with what you've already felt. A black hole collapses, space folds in, time curves down, matter compresses beyond form. But something curious happens. When you let the math guide you all the way in, inside the singularity, that mysterious, infinitely dense point, there may lie something more than destruction. There may be a new beginning. Some scientists have wondered, could the singularity be a portal, a seed? Could all the mass that falls in explode outward, again, not in this universe, but in a brand new one? You imagine it gently now, a black hole's core spinning inward, and then a bud of space-time blossoming outward on the other side. Another big bang, another timeline, another cosmos, wrapped inside this one, like a pearl hidden in stone. From the outside, a black hole. From the inside, a universe expanding. To you, it's a quiet miracle, that endings might not be endings at all, that what disappears here might reappear. Somewhere else, you drift deeper into the thought. If each black hole births a new universe, then our universe, the one you're floating through, might have been born from one too. Maybe we are already inside a black hole, not metaphorically, literally, maybe. The Big Bang was the other side of some cosmic collapse, the parent universe, now unreachable, its own stars long gone, and here we are, born in its wake, carrying, perhaps, some fingerprint of the black hole that came before. There are theories like this, real ones, framed not in dreams, but in models and numbers. They say the math of black holes is not just one dash way. It bends back, creates pressure, leads to bounce. What looks like infinite collapse might instead be a transformation, a narrow neck, of passage from one space into another. You imagine that passage, not a smooth tunnel, but a pinch, a moment of unbearable density. Then, expansion, inflation, a universe born whole, unfolding like a breath held too long. And perhaps, just perhaps, this universe follows rules set by the black hole that birthed it. Maybe each new cosmos has slightly different laws, slightly altered physics, a shift in gravity, a new flavor of particle. Cosmic evolution, not biological, but universal, where each black hole becomes a child, each universe, a branch on an endless tree. It's not proven, not yet, but it's not forbidden either. And science, like space, lives in the tension between what is known and what is possible. Now you consider something even softer. What if the universe inside a black hole never even knows it's inside? What if its stars shine, its galaxies spin, its people dream, all unaware that they are nestled inside the end of another world? Would they feel contained? Would they sense the boundary? Or would they live, as we do, with no edge in sight, no parent to speak of? And now, another thought drifts in. If a black hole can birth a universe, can a universe simulate one? What if the universe inside is not made of matter at all, but of rules, of codes, a simulated reality, not in a computer, but in physics itself? Some theories whisper that space and time might be emergent, not the foundation, but the product of something deeper, like how a melody emerges from the notes. In that view, a black hole may not birth just space, but patterns, a logic that runs itself, a system that grows and evolves, self-contained, like a dream so detailed it forgets it's a dream. Are we inside one now? You don't need to answer. You're not here to prove or disprove. You're here to wonder, gently, without urgency. Black holes, maybe endings, or beginnings, or both. They may fold one reality into another, or spawn simulations that ripple outward like waves. You are inside the ripple now, and it does not feel like collapse. It feels like possibility. It feels like quiet birth. You drift in a darkness that no longer frightens. It holds you, gently, like deep water in the quiet of night. Black holes are no longer monsters to you. They are mysteries, dark gateways, patient teachers, and tonight, your thoughts begin to stretch beyond this place. If a black hole opens somewhere, then where is somewhere? You imagine a soft fold in the fabric of reality, and through that fold, a trickle, a shift, a doorway. Where does it go? Does it end inside itself, curled in silence, or does it drip into another world entirely? There is a word for this question. A quiet one, multiverse. You've heard it before, in dreams and science both. A word that sounds like too much, and not enough at the same time. Multi-many, verse world. Not just stars, beyond stars, but universes, beyond universes. Each with its own rhythm, its own rules. And maybe, just maybe, each one spun out from the collapse of a black hole, like seeds flung wide from falling fruit. You imagine them now, the black holes of your own cosmos. Dozens, millions, billions, not just endings, but exits. And through each one, a new universe unfolding in secret. To us, they seem silent. But maybe that's because they open in another place. A place we can't yet touch, or even point to. Somewhere sideways in time. Somewhere beneath space. The inside of a black hole might stretch not into a point, but into a bridge. A tunnel from one universe to another. The physicists call this possibility a baby universe, birthed in silence, beyond the horizon of our own, and what lies inside. A universe, like ours, with stars and gravity and questions, or something strange, where light is slower, where atoms don't hold chapters and chapters, was never something far away. It was this in-between, this sacred silence, this letting go of needing to know which side you're on. You might be here, you might be there, you might be both or neither, and all of that is beautiful, because, in the end, there are places in the universe that don't want to be pinned down. They want to be felt, and you are feeling them now. You float in the pause before the next breath of reality, and in that pause, you are held, you are between, you are exactly where you're meant to be. You lie still now, not falling, not rising, just gently unhooked from the gravity of the day. The stars are still out there, black holes still turn, galaxies still spin in silence. But inside, everything grows quiet. You are no longer listening to space. You are becoming space and sleep. Sleep approaches like a shadow made of light. It's not a shutdown, not a vanishing, it's a tunnel, a nightly one. Every night, you pass through it, a soft passage from waking into something deeper. You don't fall asleep like falling off a ledge. You slide into it like entering water, warm, dark, welcoming, and before you reach it fully, You float in a strange in-between. ASUPERPOSITION. Not one state or another, but both. Part of you still holds today. The shape of conversations, the edges of memory. But another part, a quieter one, has already stepped forward. Toward dreams. Toward something that doesn't need words. You are between now and tomorrow, and the tunnel of sleep welcomes you not as a void, but as a path, a soft corridor through which your mind travels nightly, just as particles tunnel through barriers in the quantum world. That idea drifts back into your thoughts. From earlier in the journey, quantum tunneling, how something can slip where it shouldn't, how motion continues even when it seems impossible. And now, in your own small way, you are doing the same, drifting through a threshold you've passed, through thousands of times, but never really seen. Your body stays, but your awareness moves, not out of the world, but inward. And in that inward motion, new landscapes unfold, a playground of memory, a field of quiet symbols, an ocean without direction or shore. This is your cosmos too, your inner sky, and it's just as vast, just as mysterious as the universe above. In sleep, you are both observer and traveler. You measure nothing, but experience everything. Your brain doesn't turn off. It reconfigures, waves slow, signals drift, regions rest while others light up. You begin to dream, sometimes clearly, sometimes not, but always there is movement. Even in stillness, you are in motion, and that is what ties you to the universe. It moves, so do you. Each night, you pass through this soft tunnel, not knowing exactly where you are, but trusting. And that trust is beautiful, because in this moment, with no proof, no guarantees, you let go anyway. You allow sleep to carry you the way gravity carries stars, not forcefully, but with quiet presence. You don't choose sleep, you welcome it, like a ship surrendering to the tide. You think of the brain now, not as a machine, but as a galaxy, neurons firing like starlight, thoughts orbiting memory, signals pulsing like gravitational waves beneath the surface of dreams. You think of how, even when you're unconscious, your body continues its quiet work. Breath, heartbeat, healing. Sleep is not absence. It is repair. It is processing. It is your mind's way of folding experience into understanding. And each time you enter it, you come out changed. Subtly, softly, you leave behind the clutter of thought and return with space inside you. And maybe, just maybe, that space is where new stars form. Ideas you haven't had yet, clarity not yet arrived, comfort not yet realized. Sleep makes room for all of it, and the tunnel you drift through is not marked by walls, or signs, or distance. It is marked by release. You let go of thinking. You let go of knowing. And in that letting go, you gain something greater. Rest. Rest so deep it holds you in silence. Like the curve of the moon holds light. Rest that connects you to everyone who has ever slept. All across the world. All across time, because this tunnel, this gentle black hole of the night, is one we all pass through, alone, but never separate. It is the most shared mystery in human life. And tonight, you've arrived with a heart full of galaxies and a mind ready to soften. Let your shoulders drop. Let the thoughts unweave. Let the breath return to its natural rhythm. The science is finished for now. The stories have quieted. The stars can keep turning without you. You have nothing left to chase, nothing to prove, only this, that sleep, at its best, is not an escape from the universe. It is a return to it, and now you are home. So sleep now, stardust. You've drifted through wonders, and now you drift through peace. Tomorrow can wait. Tonight you simply rest.